how do I know if I should spend time on doing YouTube versus how do I spend time building Amazon, or how do I know to spend time working, or how do I know, getting a job, or how do I know to spend time studying for making money? I mean, not making money, but investing, right? And I mean, everyone at this point understands scale. It's like, well, if you take something to infinity, right? If you take something, you multiply by 100, how would that look like? And then you would get a sense of how that would work. So for example, if you invested $1,000, how would that look like if you were investing 100 times that? So $100,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how does that change the calculus? Or if you start a YouTube, how would that look like if you were managing 100 YouTube channels? Like that.
Yeah.
Now your thought process is a lot different, right? It's just like, managing one YouTube, oh shoot, I have to edit, make sure my edit is good, or the video is good, or the content is good, right? But then once I say, okay, so manage 100 YouTube, well then that's completely different. It's like, there's no way I can be the one sitting down and editing, right? I just won't have enough time in the day to be able to manage all 100 YouTube. So the calculus changes completely. So then the goal is just to figure out what's the difference, like how do I get from one YouTube channel to 100 YouTube channel? What is the change that I need to take from there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
And then the other thing to think about is just like, if it's one YouTube, take it to the highest level. What does the highest level of one YouTube look like?
Yeah.
And that would be your earning potential for that one YouTube, right? So for YouTube's case, it's an asymptotic curve. If you took one YouTube to the extreme level, right, you gain a shit ton of followers, and then overall you taper off.
Yeah.
For investing, this is a asymptotic curve for YouTube. For investing, it's just straight up exponential curve, but it's like a significantly high. It's a straight up exponential curve, but it does taper off, right? You can't have $1 billion and then 100x that and make it $100 billion, right? That's just it's not going to work that way. So there is a ceiling. Just that the ceiling is extremely high. So if you notice all the most wealthiest people in the world, all they do is invest. Well, if you take Elon Musk, right, he's investing, but he's investing in just his one company, right? Yeah. And Bill Gates, his wealth is not tied to Microsoft. I mean, obviously he has some stake in Microsoft, but he most of his wealth is generated through other investing. So everyone at the top is investing. So that's an end to the end power. So in computer science, you've learned about like O of N, right? Big O notation.
Yeah.
So for investing, it's end to the end, right? Where n represents your capital and like how much you could potentially gain. Like it just stacks on itself, right? So 30% of 30% of 30%, or 100% of 100% of 100%. So if you do it right, then it grows really, really quickly. For YouTube's case, it's like an asymptotic curve, but it's like right here, right? Where it's closer to the number of subscriber you have times the number of channels you have, right? So if you have 3 million subscribers in one channel, then you can expect to make $3 million a year. Not necessarily the case, right? Because it changes depending on the type of topic. If you're in finance, then that would be the case, right? If you're making finance video, it would be very, very high. It would be that formula. But if it's like reaction, it might be a fifth of that. So right, so you divide it by 5 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So that's the extent. That's the maximum power of one single YouTube channel. It's capped at that. So if you can only grow, if your finance channel can only go to $3 million, then expect to only hit at an absolute high of $3 million. So if you wanted to scale, then you would need to make 100 channels, right? You can only tackle this particular variable. And then for job, it's just a linear growth, right? So it's a good start, but later on it won't. It just YouTube overtakes it, and then after YouTube tapers off, right? Because doing YouTube is easier than investing, right?
Yeah.
Then the investing takes off. So in a sense, you want to kind of combine all of it together, right?
All the graphs.
Yeah. So you want to take the best of each possible graph at each point in time, and this is when, like, how do I know when to quit YouTube, or how do I know when to quit a job? It's usually when this cross section happens. It's usually when this cross section happens. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, but then you also have to have, balance security and stuff like that. But barring those aside, essentially you just want to merge all of those graphs together. So you would want to have like this, and then this. Like if you take Graham Stephan, right? He's a real estate agent. I mean, he's still doing real estate, but he's doing it not at the same level that he once was, right? He's not dedicating to looking for leads and stuff like that. He's doing a different real estate stuff. He's real estate investing. So he switched his job from real estate agent into making YouTube videos. And then once that takes off, right, then it makes more sense just to dedicate time to researching things to invest. Because each hour that you spend making YouTube video, you're only making this much, versus each hour that you spend studying for investment, then it's a higher rate of return. So ultimately it's so like before I would look down on getting a job, right? Or other people who are working, because it's a linear graph. But now understanding this, it just really depends, right? It depends on people's individual situation.
Yeah.
But that's just a quick and dirty math of how you do it. You would first evaluate the maximum potential. For me, I evaluate by year, right? Maximum potential of a year of each particular activity, and then just extrapolating it from that. And then, maybe 5 years it changes. Like 1 year of YouTube might not be enough, but maybe a 5 year for a YouTube timeline, right?
Yeah.
Or how does it look like if you're studying investing for 5 years? What's that timeline look like? What's the maximum potential cap for that? And then that's how you'll be able to piece everything together to see what is worth and what is not. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting idea to share.
Yeah.
Yeah.